All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Look, if you've ever even toyed with the idea of taking young kids or toddlers to Europe, I know exactly what's flashing through your mind. It's kind of chaotic, right? You're picturing these impossibly crowded, noisy city streets, sidewalks that are literally a nightmare to navigate with a stroller, and just that constant lingering stress about traffic. But what if I told you there's a totally different way to experience Europe? Today, we're going to flip the script and solve that stressful travel puzzle by uncovering a curated list of, frankly, magical, safe, storybook villages. We're talking about completely bypassing the big cities and focusing on places that feel like they were pulled straight out of a fairy tale. Places that naturally cater to families looking for peace, safety, and some real engaging fun. So instead of our usual agenda, we're going to use a really simple 4-point checklist to map out a completely stress-free travel itinerary. We'll evaluate our destinations by looking for car-free walking havens, seeking out calm nature paths, discovering engaging cultural highlights, and planning the absolute best seasonal activities. Okay, starting right off with step 1, car-free walking havens, safe strolling without the traffic. On one hand, you've got the typical, overwhelming, stressful traffic of a major metropolis. And on the other, you have the absolute tranquility of Zermatt, Switzerland. Tucked right in the shadow of the massive Matterhorn mountain, Zermatt actually banned cars all the way back in the early 1900s. No way, right? Relying entirely on electric buses and horse-drawn carriages keeps the mountain air incredibly fresh, and it gives you the ultimate peace of mind, letting your toddler waddle around safely without constantly checking for cars. Now, I want you to take a look at this number, 180. That is the exact number of small bridges connecting Giethoorn in the Netherlands. Over there, you literally trade noisy cars for a completely traffic-free water world. Centuries ago, monks actually dug these canals while searching for peat, and today, 0 cars. You can only explore the village either by boat or by strolling over these 180 incredibly charming bridges on perfectly scaled, cute little walking paths. And we see a very similar vibe in Hallstatt, Austria, which is often called the Pearl of the Alps. Because it's so small and has these incredibly strict building rules, it's held onto a beautifully preserved car-free layout. This means you get these stunning lakeside walkways lined with traditional wooden houses and bursting with flowers that are just perfect for exploring safely on foot. I mean, it is incredibly stroller-friendly. You can just push the stroller, soak up the views of that calm water and the towering Dachstein Alps, and totally forget about traffic stress. Moving right along to step 2, calm nature and water paths. We're seeking sensory sights and gentle sounds for toddlers. Back in Giethoorn, instead of navigating some loud, crowded tourist trap, you can hop on a little boat for a mini nature cruise. Just imagine cruising down the canals, listening to the gentle splash of water, and maybe even hearing a friendly quack from a duck. You glide right past these historic farmhouses with traditional straw roofs, which, fun fact, act like super-powered blankets for temperature control. And then you drift into these quiet forests where you might actually spot a deer peeking out or hear the birds singing. It is honestly the ultimate calming sensory experience for a young, curious mind. If you want a more mountainous sensory experience, we've got to look at Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland. Guys, this isn't just a valley, it is a literal waterfall wonderland. You've got the giant Staubach Falls just crashing down these massive cliffs. But the beauty is, right down at ground level, the valley offers these gentle, winding trails through super green meadows, right past cozy wooden cabins with flower boxes that are just bursting with color. These easy walking trails are phenomenal for strollers, so you can easily let your young kids experience the sheer, breathtaking scale of nature in a way that's totally accessible. All right, let's hit step 3, engaging local cultural highlights. Architecture that feels like a storybook. Now, this is where we get to turn history into actual playtime. Kids are going to absolutely lose their minds over Alberobello, Italy. The whole place is filled with these super unique buildings called trulli, and they look exactly like giant white mushrooms with pointy cone roofs. And get this, they are literally built like giant puzzles. The locals use native stone, carefully stacking it all together without a single drop of glue. Plus, they're decorated with these secret roof symbols, crosses, moons, zodiac signs, all painted on by families wishing for good luck and protection. So it's basically a living, interactive puzzle for a child to wander through. And here is the absolute best part, the sneaky little piece of trivia you can share with your kids. These 14th century homes were actually designed to be taken apart super quickly, exactly like a giant Lego set. The local legend goes that if the tax man came knocking, the builders would just quickly pull the houses apart so they could avoid paying taxes on a standing building. I mean, it's a hilarious little piece of history that instantly brings the architecture to life for young minds. Jumping over to Oia, perched right on the northern tip of Santorini, Greece, you get a totally different flavor of storybook. This is where you can teach your family all about volcanic calderas. The town is built way up high on these incredibly rugged cliffs that were literally shaped by ancient volcanic eruptions. And the storybook element here? You can explain to your kids that the town was built so high up with these really narrow, winding, maze-like streets, specifically so they could spot approaching pirate ships and keep the villagers safe from the bad guys. How cool is that? But the absolute best part of Oya's culture isn't locked away in some stuffy museum somewhere. It's the completely free nightly light show. Every single night, as the sun sets over the Aegean Sea, the sky just explodes with colors. It's like a giant fiery painting hanging right over those famous whitewashed blue-domed buildings. It's a natural, totally captivating spectacle that the whole family can just sit back and soak in together. Or maybe your kids are slightly older and they want more of a real-life Indiana Jones vibe. If so, you've got to check out Ronda, Spain. This town is perched incredibly high up on the El Taha Gorge, and it's all connected by the massive 18th century Puente Nuevo Bridge. But the real cultural highlight here is hidden right beneath the charming white streets of the old town. There is an actual maze of secret underground escape tunnels and passages that were built to protect the town during times of trouble. Talk about an adventure. Okay, finally, step 4, best seasonal family activities, timing your trip perfectly. Because depending on the season you choose, your activity options completely transform. Let's look at Zermatt, Switzerland again. If you go in the winter, it's a snowy wonderland that's absolutely perfect for skiing. But hit it up in the summer, and those exact same slopes turn into incredibly beautiful hiking trails winding right through the meadows. Now, compare that to the hidden village of Reine in the Lofoten Islands of Norway, way up past the Arctic Circle. A winter trip there, you are viewing the incredibly vibrant northern lights. But a summer trip means you get to experience the midnight sun. The sun literally never fully sets, giving you 24/7 sunlight to kayak on calm waters or take a hike at literally any hour of the day or night. And honestly, depending on where and when you go, the lodging itself becomes part of the activity. Up in Rhine, Norway, your family could sleep in what they call roorbu. These are bright, colorful wooden fishing cabins built right on stilts over the calm water. Or if you decide to head to the Alps instead, you can stay in Swiss chalets. Those are the traditional wooden houses with the deeply slanted roofs that look exactly like giant gingerbread houses. I mean, come on, kids go crazy for that. But hey, maybe you aren't planning by the season at all. Maybe you're planning by the day of the week. If that's the case, you absolutely have to time a visit to Marsaxlokk in Malta for a Sunday. It's this incredibly relaxed fishing village famous for its luzu boats. These are boats painted in these brilliant, bright rainbow colors, and a lot of them actually feature the ancient Eye of Osiris symbol, which is meant to keep the fishers safe out at sea. Well, on Sundays, the whole town just explodes into a giant fish market. We're talking fresh seafood, local crafts, delicious food. It's a massive sensory treat, and it all happens at this really slow, kid-friendly pace right by the water. So, what does this all mean? The absolute crucial point here is that traveling to Europe with your family absolutely does not have to mean dragging a heavy stroller through crowded, exhaust-filled streets. By simply pivoting your focus to these car-free zones, easy-to-walk nature paths, and highly visual storybook architecture, you can craft a trip that is just as relaxing for you as it is magical for them. With this 4-point checklist in hand, you are totally equipped to skip the chaotic cities entirely. The only real question left is, looking at all these incredible options, which of these safe storybook villages will you take your family to first?